Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bring It On. Let's go to war. Orbital battle. Rogue Trader's ship took its place in the center of the attack formation. The right flank was guarded by the sacred combat vessels of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and the left consisted of the combined forces gathered by the Lord Inquisitor, headed by a frigate of the indomitable Space Wolves. The enemy deployed their ships in a wide arc in an attempt to surround the squadron, but the heretics' plan was not meant to be. Thorbold and Opticon 22 sent their detachments forward, tying up the enemy in combat and presenting the Lord Captain with a chance to deliver a blow to the very heart of the enemy position, where the flagships of these traitors to humanity awaited their final hour.
I'll be your beacon in the darkness.
Last Mystics class heavy cruiser. Big ship. I've seen all that stuff before, I think.
Helmsman, take us in.
Alright, lance him with everything we've got.
With the force of a supernova. Torpedoes away! Macro cannons, open fire!
I can't use that on him? Huh. Well, that is lame. Let's go ahead and pop this. We're going to take some damage this turn. By some, I mean a lot.
Let them taste our fury.
Soften them up a little bit.
Macro cannons, open fire. Coordinates set.
Flew right into that. Didn't last long, but they did take shots intended for us, so I'll gladly take it.
Lance batteries, volley!
Their void ship is now
Let
a
them
barrier
chase our
fire.
fury. With the force of a supernova.
Not a whole lot I can do here. Can't circle tight enough. If I do that.
Helmsman, take us in.
And try this.
Fire at will.
Nice.
The Emperor commands. We act.
What a way to go. Little fighter taken out by ship's main weapon. Alright, foothold. Sector, Coronis Expanse. Region, Mundus Valancia System. Location, Dargonis, Palace of the Lord General Militant. Material, extract from the memoirs When the Expanse Burned. Author, Corvin Lazarus, Lord General Militant of the Dargonis Planetary Defense Garrison. A general once said that all wars are fundamentally the same. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Grox Crab. That general had not witnessed the events on Euphrates II. Rogue Trader Donald von Valancius was the supreme commander in that battle. A man of iron will. Unfaltering, unshakable. I served in his personal enforcer guard back then. Was another cocky kid who thought he was an expert soldier. The Emperor was gracious to me. He gave me a choice to realize just how wrong I was. Most of my comrades didn't get a chance like that. The shuttles would have blocked out the sun if one could see it through the smoke of the manufactorum city of Sigma S-13. At its heart stood the machine cathedral, our primary objective. The Lord Captain showed us mercy by having the landing zone bombarded from orbit. All the shuttles carrying troops, and more importantly, precious vehicles, reached their destination. Daunted by our numbers, the enemy withdrew. That was a perfect moment for a decisive attack. With an armored vehicle force of this size, we had the upper hand. Upon descending from orbit, Sister Argenta inspired the troops with the very first notes of her prayers. Her singing was the Emperor's voice commanding us to fight without any regards for our own lives. After rousing the soldiers to launch a daring raid, she quickly captured one of the heretics' commanders. That was when we heard a starkly different voice from the Sister of Battle. Trembling with fury, she personally interrogated the miscreant, pulling one poison confession after another out of him. Once she was done, the world was purged of his impure breath, and she was the one wielding the flamer. The sight of that heretic writhing in flames was imprinted upon our memories, shining a light on the cruel darkness of our immediate future like a brilliant beacon. In the command center, the Lord Captain ordered his generals to Deliver tactical reports to the officers. Maybe we should do one of these first. I don't know if we can go back to that or not. Yeah, commence a rapid tank assault in accordance with the military doctrine armored wave devised by Lord Militant Justice Quinn. It could be Justice Quinn, or Eustace. Our negligible losses during the landing stage allowed us to have enough armored vehicles for a decisive push against the enemy's positions. We began our advance. I'll never forget the roar of the tank, its treads tearing the heretics' infantry to pieces, accompanied by the shrieks of last guns and the rumble of heavy artillery, the deafening symphony of war. Nothing could stop us. We marched in the wake of a column of armored beasts, not turning to look at the mushroom clouds climbing over piles of enemy bodies and those of our own. We had our orders. Pushing through the ruins of sacred workshops, we looked with awe upon machines that, up until that point, remained forbidden to the eyes of the laity. Those were places of incredible and frightening technology. Void ship assembly halls, alchemical atriums, sacred arsenals, generators producing invisible fields unsettling to the mind, and scriptoriums containing knowledge of horrors best left undiscovered. In one of the chemical chapels, we came upon a shipment of cisterns containing hallucinogenic gas. Hallucinogenic gas, I forgot a syllable there. Now, the tech priest protested that the substance was not designed for warfare, that it is created for higher rituals, but the officers wasted no time pumping our artillery shells full of that gas. At last, we reached the gates of Dock Mu 514, the threshold of the metal nightmare that was Manufactorum Sigma S13. However, the initial attempts to storm the dock shattered against the enemy's defenses. Magus Dominus Opticon 22 proposed a tech sabotage. He could send a small Skitarii units, behind the enemy lines and have them subdue the spirits of the area's defense systems. Thorbold, the fierce leader of the Space Wolves, proposed to send infiltrators beyond the walls to kill enemy officers and weaken the dock's defenses. The Lord Captain ordered to have the Vanguard regiments detail the reasons why the first assault failed. So I think I could have taken that other option earlier on and still taken one of the skill checks. That's usually how the book events go, but I was a little concerned. The influence of the ruinous powers had corrupted and twisted Dock Mu 514 beyond recognition. Many potential approaches were blocked by walls of flesh fused with metal, and anomalies that bent reality around them. Hundreds of possessed machines assembled in Euphrates II rose against us. The enemy was expecting us to strike, and we needed to disrupt their defenses before attacking. The Lord Captain ordered to barrage the enemy with gas munitions procured on the surface. As per regulations, we waited until the gas cloud allowed minimal visibility, checked our filter masks, blasted the gates with our tanks meltas, and charged in. Many heretics had already perished at the hands of their comrades, who were fighting nightmares only they could see. We had no trouble cleaning up the rest of the disjointed lunatics. It took us many days to break through to the metal heart of the Manufactorum. On the third week of the assault, the Vanguard was halted and swept away by a salvo of plasma macro cannons. Scorning every cannon of sacred engineering, the heretics had placed the hull of an unfinished void cruiser on treads several kilometers long. This leviathan of adamantine and plasteel barred our way. Logus Opticon 22 insisted that we retake the sacred machine, for the vessel had been in the making for many decades, and its destruction would have meant a great tragedy for the Imperium. It came as a surprise to all when the Space Wolf Thorbold supported the Magus Dominus. After the Lord Captain had reconciled him with the explorer leader, Thorbold had tamed his pride and spoken in favor of the tech priest's cause of liberating the noble machine. The Lord Captain sent scouts to assess the fearsome weapon. The sight was both terrifying and mesmerizing. A majestic cathedral that was designed to cut through the void was instead resting on treads of a size that staggered the imagination. Those treads were grinding buildings into dust, and the ship's heavy cannons were incinerating entire tank formations. How could mere mortals hope to defeat a behemoth like that? The Lord Captain ordered an assault column to be formed from the repentant Manufactorum workers, granting those captives the right to atone for their crime with their blood. The Lord Captain was merciful. Each captive was issued a single-shot last fusel and bayonet, whereupon an order was given to take the cruiser at any cost. The deal with them was that those who survived the attack could be granted the Emperor's pardon and could enlist in the Liberation Army. Traitors in wartime could seldom hope to be given a second chance, let alone an offer of such generosity. No more than 100 of them were left alive that day. The Emperor was harsh on those who had misstepped, but many a seasoned soldier could have learned from their fervor. Covered in oil, blood, and soot, their eyes full of a desperate zeal, the penal unit's fighters somehow managed, despite their losses, to break through to the mighty cruiser. They climbed the shafts, used their bayonets, and applied what scant knowledge they had of sacred technology. Eventually, they destroyed the heretics who were operating the macro cannons. Enforcer strike groups were then able to land on the cruiser and clean up the remaining cultists. The cruiser was conquered. Slipping on pools of blood mixed with sacred unguents, we made it to the Machine Cathedral, a gargantuan hall breathing with the flames of 1,000 furnaces, the last bastion of the enemy army. That was where I first faced the Wordbearers, betrayers of humanity and unworthy sons of the Emperor. What could we, mere humans, possibly do to match their unholy bestial rage? The Lord Captain. These are both my primary abilities, or skills. I'm going to go with Coercion, though. I commanded to close ranks and direct all available forces against the Wordbearers. With booming battle cries, we stormed the traitors' positions in a tight formation, raining fire upon the enemy. It was a daunting attack, but the disciplinary officers drove us forward, cracking their electro whips and shooting those who showed a lack of conviction at the back of their skulls. For every 1,000 shots the ceramite of their armor deflected, a single one hit of vulnerable optical sensor or joint. One by one, then hollow giants fell under our onslaught. Our tenacity prevailed over their nigh impervious protection. That's when it came. Doomscream. An ancient and bloodthirsty hellbrute. A merciless executioner forged from adamantine and ceramite. That single foe was repelling our assaults one after the other, turning hundreds of soldiers into bloody pulp. For as long as that abomination lived, we had no hope of reaching the heart of the enemy citadel. The dire-eyed Thorvald volunteered to track down and destroy the vile spawn, but fate had other things in store for him and his brothers. The Space Wolves pack was to be the first to storm the Machine Cathedral, and thus Megas Dominus Opticon 22 assembled a cohort of elite Scutari, and said that he would locate and eliminate Doomscream. The soldiers were whispering that he was willing to activate the so-called Guaranteed Annihilation Protocol, a terrible and ominous rite that is as lethal to the enemies of the Omnissiah as it is to his faithful servants. Upon arriving at the front lines, the Lord Captain, I questioned the survivors who had witnessed the ruin that Doomscream had wrought. Those lucky enough to escape with their lives had little to tell us. They remembered a terrible howl hanging in the air, and a death machine, impossibly quick for its size, dismembering people and crumpling tanks with its horrific manipulators. This enemy was ancient, devious, and utterly mad. The heretic's mind was clouded by rage and hatred, and his body was bound within a prison of metal and mutated flesh. Upon arriving at the front lines, the Lord Captain led his retinue to hunt down this ancient killing machine himself. The fight was grueling and bloody. Even the Lord Captain's retinue could not pierce Doomscream's indestructible armor. It seemed then that the Lord Captain's abundant luck was about to run out. But then Opticon 22 Scutari and Thorvald Space Wolves joined the fray. Their strife forgotten, the two commanders assailed the unholy weapon of destruction. It was the rogue trader's wise guidance that allowed their strikes to pierce Doomscream's armor. Brutally wounded and humiliated, the profane executioner had no choice but to flee from the fight. The abomination's torn pincer fitted with an ancient and powerful bolter became the rogue trader's rightful trophy. Unhallowed bellow. At last we reached the Machine Cathedral. We saw a yawning lift shaft left behind by a colossal land-gnawing drill that had burrowed for kilometers into the depths of the planet. There, deep below, lay the last hiding place of the heretics' leaders. Hundreds of grenades, accompanied by promises of swift judgment, were hurled into the pit. Such was our righteous anger. The planetary assault was a resounding success. The enemy forces were shattered and broken. A small fraction remained in the Machine Cathedral, but the rest either had been destroyed or were destined to meet the same inevitable fate soon. The Lord Captain's retinue and the Space Wolves band delved into the shaft, headed toward the heart of the Machine Cathedral. We watched them leave with reverence in our eyes, as we were setting up a perimeter around the entrance. We knew that the true outcome of the Battle of Euphrates II depended on them, and that our fates were theirs to decide. And we leveled up. Fantastic. Oh, so it's not voice acted. Man, the gears... too late. I tried. Giant clad in dark crimson armor is in the middle of a sinister litany, his words turning into a repulsive ethereal stench and flakes of otherworldly ice. He does not notice your presence. The same cannot be said about Conrad Voidfer, who stands at his side. His completely mutated turquoise eyes flash upon seeing you. He flinches, but remains silent, hesitant to interrupt the ritual. Observe the sinister sorcery at work. Watching this loathsome act of desecration take place before you fills your head with an unnerving sensation. You realize you will forever remember these disturbing, inhuman words the sorcerer is speaking. They've embedded themselves in your memory in place of something important that was there before. Try as you might, you cannot remember what it was. The sorcerer does not turn his head as his voice rolls over the room. I see you, mortal thing. I sense your meek mind. The sorcerer reluctantly turns his burning gaze upon you. So, you're the one who is so eager to beat me and your own demise. Rejoice, brother Twilight. Today, you become the new rogue traitor. Woodfare's deformed features twist into a bloodthirsty smile. Yes, master. I rectify my mistake and reclaim what was stolen. Examine the machine. The platform beneath the sorcerer's feet is the drilling machine's massive tunneling shield. This mighty mechanism can gnaw through underground rock, bunker bulkheads reinforced with adamantine, or anything else that may lurk in the planet's depths. The corrupted servants of the Deus Mechanicus scuttle around the heretic, muttering twisted prayers of ignition and attempts to persuade the omnisized majestic beast to awaken and rend the world's flesh. I speak the litany of purification to smother the profanity of the sorcerer's words. How's that feel, nerd? The sacred words sustained by your indomitable faith illuminate the air and send a mighty echo across the room. So great is their strength that the sorcerer's words drown within, and the currents of heretical power swirling around the drill begin to ebb. Once the final words of the prayer escape your lips, righteous light envelops the drill, washing away the unhallowed taint. The sorcerer, scorched by the radiance of the Emperor himself, growls in pain and rage. The wolf lets out a chilling howl, and his pack ready their weapons, acknowledging it as an unequivocal order to kill. That's probably for the best. I know we missed some dialogue there, but realistically my character would not commune with heretics for very long, if at all. With a solemn gesture of his hands, Erlon thunders in fury. Let those who blaspheme against the true gods beg forgiveness in vain. Let their lips be sealed, let their hands be severed, let their souls be reaped and scourged. The battle wolves. Do not allow the malefic something something. A glorious fight awaits. Take heed with the silver-tongued traitor, for he is old, sly, and strong. But by the Allfather, the wolves will spill rivers of his blood today. The horrific display of profane sorcery appears to have filled Thorvald with joy and anticipation rather than fear. Have you encountered Erlon before? No, or else his head wouldn't still be hanging on his neck. My pack has heard plenty about his strength and ignominious misdoings. No, ignominy. Son of a gun, that word always catches me off guard. I know how to say it when I don't have to read it. One can see the evidence of his malefactions all across the Cronus expanse, like bear tracks upon fresh snow. We stalked him and looked for a chance to clamp our jaws around his throat, but the craven knows well how to hide behind the backs of his heretical lackeys. What manner of witchcraft was he attempting back there? He wished to wake the tunneling behemoth. He hungered for my thoughts. Erlon is searching for something down below, and they manufactured Torm's deepest halls. My warriors destroyed the energy fount and silenced the drill, but the detestable Malefic still found a way to revive it with his heinous magics. What is Erlon after? What is he trying to unearth? Don't ask, for I know not myself. Kalkazar treats his allies like a Fenrisian mushroom farmer treats his produce. Keeps them in the dark and feeds them crap. He didn't see fit to enlighten us about the secrets of Euphrates II, but 'tis no matter. Whatever it is, we mustn't let the loathsome Malefic claim it. I will deal with him. You're a brave one. You're not easily deterred. Good. Then find a way to reach the tunneling platform, where we give the mangy sorcerer something to worry about. Thorvald exchanges glances with his warriors. You can swear they all smile in anticipation inside their helmets. Halbrand, you stick to the original plan. Take 2 brothers and go after Doomscream. Our scouts report that he took refuge here in these depths, after being defeated in battle on the approach to the Machine Cathedral. I want to take the unholy tin can that holds his traitorous brain back to Fenris. Good hunting. We won't fail you. The eager Space Marine lets out a hungering howl. How they tread the hunter's grim. In case of a beast of steel and blood, fangs bared, sharpened thirst of prey. Let glory cloak their mighty gait. Doomscream. He hides in this den. Step aside, Halbrand. I'll be the one to slay it. I claim this quarry for the baleful howl. Who or what is this Doomscream? An old and vicious heretic. A hellbrute whose veins boil with poisonous rage and savagery. His mind and body have so been warped by the ruinous powers that his very existence is an affront to the Allfather's warriors. Tread lightly when facing him, young brother. Yes, the beast is mad and hideous, but he is withal mighty, old, and graced with the archenemy's profane patronage. His hateful sermons abound with malefictions, and his weapon claimed the lives of hundreds during the assault. We grievously wounded him, true. We haven't seen the last of this foe. Ulfar kills Doomscream. Will that prove that the baleful howl lives? If it comes to pass, I'll be the first to raise a cup to the proud name of this ferocious pack. Ulfar, we set out to hunt the beast. You seek the best mean hunting Ulfar ever lost. None are faster or deadlier than the Stormbiters. We will see, young wolf. We will see. Luck be with you, warriors. Ida Roos, Donald. Alright, let's level up. The next time, we'll continue the assault. We're almost max level. An exemplar talent, and a first or second tier archetype talent. Let's do Eager for Battle. In the first turn of combat, the character has 2 additional action points. May not be the best choice, I'm not going to go through it all right now, but I mean, 2 extra AP is always good, especially for an officer on their opening turn. Let's just do Steel Resolve. The officer's resolve is increased by 3. Let's try to do Disastrous Collision for his kick. When targets pushed by the character collide with enemies or cover, but the target and the object they collide with suffer an additional damage. It's still bonus damage, even if he doesn't have a lot of agility. Actually, let's do Discipline. The Archmilitant gains +1 stack of versatility whenever an ally grants the Archmilitant an extra turn. And Unstoppable. The character becomes immune to all effects that reduce their MP, and they gain MP that scales with their toughness. And Reckless Fury. Reckless Strike gains % critical hit chance. And Peak Condition, he doesn't have the most wounds, but it's still more strength, which means more damage. The character gains a bonus to their strength equal to 20% of their maximum wounds. One melee attack. That's really good for a good first turn alpha strike. Might do Rigorous Training. Or Arms Master. Let's do Arms Master. So killing an enemy with a melee attack makes all the Archmilitants' range attacks this turn cost -1 AP, and vice versa does not... well, minimum of 1. I think his current weapon only costs 1 AP to attack with. Oh, this is pretty good. Let's do Open Engagement. There are no enemies adjacent to the warrior at the start of the turn. The warrior's damage is increased from 1 melee attack. 2 times strength bonus. I think Eager for Battle is probably worth it. Yeah. We'll go with that. And then here... Let's do close quarters training. The Archmilitant can use two-handed ranged weapons within melee range, but with a -10 penalty to ballistic skill. And eager for battle again. I think that's just going to be a really good talent across the board. And be vigilant, I think, would be fine. Do we have we do have Steel Resolve already. Oh, no, let's do Steady. Attack aim also increases the damage of the next range attack by 2% for each cell between the attacker and the target. Which synchronizes really well with the Heavy Flamer, since it has a wide AoE. Or just a large AoE in general, not just wide. It's also long, so... Alright, I'm going to call it here, and next time, we'll begin the assault on Euphrates II. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.